Hey, yo, what's the deal? Miss your boy Tag from Pro Wrestling Tag. You know what I'm saying? As of this recording right now, it's actually going to be 3 p.m. It's 2:59 p.m., but it's going to be 3 p.m. as we speak. You know what I mean? April 27th, 2025. You know, right now, as I am preparing some fish, I decided to come with a second discussion video with you guys. All right? And this is an interesting one that I wanted to bring up because I remember, again, I'm born 1980. You know what I mean? Like, thank goodness I don't look my age. I look a little younger. Thank goodness. You know what I mean? I keep myself in shape. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not really in shape, but I still keep myself active. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do none of that shit. You know what I mean? So I grew up at a time when, like, if we're talking about pro wrestling, I grew up at a time when, we went through the golden age era. You know what I mean? The new generation era, the attitude era, the ruthless aggression era, right? But I want to focus more on the ruthless aggression era in between and the attitude era, because when ECW passed away, when ECW had perished, right, back in 2001, right, there wasn't really a company that was there at the time in replacement of ECW until the next year when Ring of Honor came, right? And a lot of people don't realize that when Ring of Honor showed up, right, Ring of Honor was actually started by, see, there's the confusion there. See, I don't know if Ring of Honor was started by Rob Feinstein or if it was started by Gabe Sapolsky. I think it was started by Gabe Sapolsky, and Rob Feinstein might have had, some ownership in it. But Rob Feinstein, for those that don't know, was the main person who did the art and video stuff for not only the shoot interviews, but also, remember, he also did the home videos for ECW, right? And, Ring of Honor was, at that time, to me, the successor of ECW, because you really did not have, you really did not have a true successor to ECW when it perished, right? But Ring of Honor was that, because any promotion, and yes, you had a bunch of other promotions too. You had Power Pain, 3PW. Let me see what other promotions you had. TNA, but TNA was not really. TNA was more of a. To me, TNA was more of a replacement promotion for WCW, not ECW. But, when I think of ECW, I think of, like, that super indie. You know what I mean? Like that super indie that came and, like I said, you had others. I think Chikara might have came also around that time too, right? But a lot of the stars that came out of Ring of Honor, right? They would have definitely been big stars in the old ECW. And I tell you why. A lot of the OGs, a lot of the OG wrestlers that was there, right? A lot of OG stars, like Low Key, AJ Styles, Chris Hero, CM Punk, the OGs there, Samoa Joe, the OGs, from that camp, from that original Ring of Honor alumni would have been big stars in ECW. No doubt about it. If ECW was still alive, right, there would have been big stars there, without a shadow of a doubt. You know why? Because Gabe Sapolsky, for what I understand, was also scouting for Ring of Honor as well. And he found a lot of good people there. He found a lot. You also got to remember this too. People like AJ Styles wrestled there. I think Christopher Daniels. A lot of those guys who were going back and forth from TNA and ROH. A lot of those guys. Right, Austin Aries, these guys would have been perfect for Paul Heyman's ECW. They would have been perfect. Especially someone like CM Punk, who fits that mode of, extreme. Every time I think of CM Punk, right, I always, like, to me, he automatically screams ECW to me. Automatically. And like I said, he would have been even perfect. He would have been too perfect for Paul Heyman's ECW. Too perfect. But a lot of them would have been bigger stars there. I think there would have been bigger stars there than in Ring of Honor and in TNA. Because they would have the exposure. Clearly they would have had the exposure. Clearly. They definitely would have had the exposure. They would have had, the name value and stuff. And they would have been at a much higher card than when they were in TNA and in Ring of Honor. Like I said, there were a lot of people there. Who else? Jay Lethal would have been a big star there. Who else? There's plenty others. There are plenty others. Of course, yeah, you would have to work the extreme style, but I don't think it mattered. I don't think it mattered. But another person, like I said, who I thought about too was Loki. I think Loki would have been a bigger star, in ECW than he would have been, in Ring of Honor and in TNA. These are the guys who basically put, they put Ring of Honor on the map, right? And also TNA too. They put TNA as well on the map, but I think with ECW, it would have been more of a bigger shift in their superstar. The Briscoes. Oh, definitely the Briscoes. The Briscoes would have been much, 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 much bigger stars in Ring of Honor. Not if ECW, then in Ring of Honor if ECW was still around. Because again, they're part of that OG class. They're part of that alumni. You know what I mean? So we're talking about from 2002 to whenever. You know what I mean? And a lot of them are either, already in WWE or expected to go to WWE within the next year or so. It is what it is. But I think with ECW and ROH, to me, they are like Ring of Honor to me, right? Not just Ring of Honor, fuck that. I'm talking about like the Ring of Honor from when it was on HD.net, HDNet and, Sinclair owned. I think that to me is the true successor of ECW, in my personal opinion. Definitely in my personal opinion, because with Sapolsky there, and he would have definitely got in Paul Heyman's ear about which talents to bring in and such. Yeah. So in my personal opinion, fuck yeah. I think Ring of Honor definitely like a lot of the alumni that was there from that, from that original class clearly would have been big stars in ECW, in the original ECW. No doubt about it. No fucking doubt about it. You know what I mean? Like, you can't tell me otherwise. You know what I mean? Like, nobody can tell me otherwise. So I'm about to be out, guys. You know what I mean? I'm almost finishing up, seasoning this fish. So I'm going to definitely holler at y'all later tonight. I definitely will be coming with another video for sure. All right? Peace.